Hey folks, welcome to this video where we'll be showcasing our Teflon spring strategy. And this strategy is targeted to investors who want to leverage their rental, all while continuing to own the asset and have something tangible as a fail-safe for, say, a catastrophic event. But this strategy converts those rentals into notes, which will produce more cash flow every month without having to deploy more capital. So this strategy works best for investors who have grown weary of owning rentals for various reasons, or for those investors who are tired of losing money every month and truly see the benefits of reconstructing their portfolio into a wealth acceleration tool. Now, this strategy also works extremely well for investors who want to maximize their IRA and have rentals in them, especially for those of you who have a few years or longer until you'll want to receive or disperse those funds. Now, before we go any further, and we're not being sarcastic or condescending, but if you've already achieved your wealth and you're looking to preserve your capital, this is not the strategy for you, as it's constructed specifically for wealth generation, meaning its very design is for investors who want or need to grow your wealth, which is the primary goal in implementing the strategy. And as we mentioned a moment ago, if you have a few years or longer to let the strategy work, simmer in the background, things of that nature, one of the unique aspects of this approach is that the more time that's allowed to let it work in the background, the acceleration of wealth that occurs is extremely noticeable. So not only that, but the IRS allows for an installment sale and helps with capital gains. But more on that later. Of course, like the other strategies we utilize here, it fits in line with our motto of more profit, less stress. So let's begin with an example of how this works to see if it's a right fit for your portfolio or your IRA. But first, we're operating under the assumption that you've watched the note versus rental video, which you can view by going to the note versus series section and see where we're coming from to see if perhaps that's why you may want to really consider applying this strategy. So that said, let's explain how it works. When you own a rental, you're not only having to deal with those issues associated with it, the most important aspect is that you're losing money every month by owning a rental, which is severely hampering your growth every month that goes by. So when you run those numbers, let's just say an example of $1,000 a month. By owning a rental, you're not only netting around $7,800 a year versus converting it into a note and netting $11,400 a year. That's an additional $3,600 a year that you're losing. The reason I bring this up is to emphasize one more time the fact that this strategy is a wealth building strategy, not a wealth preservation strategy. And I hear you, Ben, I'm convinced already. Now, how do we do this? Well, quite simply, we're going to use seller financing or owner financing, also called owner carryback. Basically, lots of names for a technique that involves creating a note using the property as collateral. And you'll definitely want to outsource this part to assist with staying compliant with legislation, as well as take the pressure of liability off you as well. And if you need help with that, feel free to reach out to us and we'll send you to someone who we use, depending on who that is and what that looks like at the time. One thing to highlight here is that at the time of this recording, Dodd-Frank does limit an investor on how many of these you can do in a calendar year, which is another reason you really want to consider outsourcing it to a third party. And it's really cost effective nowadays anyway. Most investors we work with just include the fee within the pricing structure, but it's certainly something to not worry about if executed correctly. So if we were to consolidate these steps involved, first we want to be cordial to the renter and inform them that the rental is going to be sold. That gives them ample time to find another home. And if they've been a really good tenant, really good pay history, you may even consider approaching them with an opportunity to purchase the house. They've possibly grown to love the house and they want to stay. So that's an option as well. Second, we want to find a buyer and come to agreeable terms for both parties. Remember, there are a lot of people who can't get conventional mortgages right now, even though they're qualified. But because they may be self-employed or I-10 or many other categories, finding them funding for them right now is really tough. So third, we want to have a responsible, competent third party draft the documents, again, keeping you compliant and shifting liability away from you. This is quite possibly the most important step involved. Fourth, kind of playing around, we want to sit back and collect the payments and enjoy the sound of silence as your phone keeps quiet, and the issues of owning rentals goes by the wayside. Fifth, now we can enjoy the benefit of an IRS-approved installment sale and savor the tax benefits of avoiding a huge penalty of selling the house outright and paying high capital gains. Now, it's understood that this is one of those strategies that's simple in explanation. For those of us who are very competent with this type of setup, it's second nature and very straightforward, but it can be difficult to manage if you're not familiar with how the pieces of the puzzle integrate themselves together, and you certainly want to speak to your CPA or accountant to see how this could affect your portfolio. However, we feel very confident that it's a great fit for most investors, especially within IRAs, because of the time factor and wealth acceleration that it produces. So feel free to contact our offices for more information on this strategy. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.